Yo, what's up, Gemini? Welcome to your monthly forecast for the month of July 2018. Gemini, a lot of important astrology happening this month. We've got Chiron that's going to go retrograde, and then we've got Jupiter, which is finally going direct, and then we've got a new moon partial solar eclipse that's going to happen almost halfway through the month. Then your ruler Mercury is going to go retrograde. And then we're going to finish off the month with a full moon total lunar eclipse. So you can see how important this month is astrologically. But the sun for you, Gemini, is going to be in an area that has to do for the first 3 weeks of July. The sun's going to be in an area for you, Gemini, it has to do with your money and with the area where you earn your income. So there's going to be more of a focus on these aspects of your life throughout the first 3 weeks of July, Gemini. If something doesn't benefit your bottom line, you might not be interested in wasting your time. And the sun is going to shift on July 22nd. It's going to move into an area that's to do with your communication. So you are a great communicator, Gemini. I'm going to talk more about that later in the forecast because when Mercury goes retrograde, that might scramble that a little bit. And potentially the way you're communicating needs to be readjusted for some of you because it's not really being received that well for some of you. Not saying all of you, but those are the main themes for you, Gemini, for the month of July 2018. Now I'm going to talk about some more specific major astrological events that are set to occur this month and what they mean for you. On July 2nd, Mercury will aspect Saturn, which is retrograding, and this one has to do with making adjustments with the way you communicate in your shared resource situation. So this has to do a lot with what I just talked about. You are a great communicator, Gemini, but on the same side of the other, or on the other side of the same coin, it's like, some situations where you're communicating, maybe your communicating is not that effective, and potentially the way you're communicating with someone who you share your resources with, well, you might need to make some adjustments to improve communication between you and whoever you share your resources with. Now, if you don't share your resources with anybody, this might be more about, some of you might be communicating about an investment of some sort, or thinking about an investment, or others of you can benefit from making adjustments to a contract of some sort. On July 5th, Chiron will begin to retrograde. It'll retrograde so much that it's going to shift out of your sector of friendships and technology and social media on September 25th, and it's going to go back into your sector of career, and then eventually on December 9th, it'll move forward in your sector of career, Gemini. So, well, this is the month of July, so all that other stuff I'm going to talk about in later forecasts. So we'll just stick to where Chiron's going now. And Chiron has to do with you making way too big of a deal out of something. I mean, there might be something in your life that has to do with, potentially for this Chiron retrograde cycle. It's going to start retrograding on July 5th, and then it's going to shift. It's going to retrograde so much that it's going to shift back into your sector of career September 25th. But between July 5th and September 25th, some of you might be making way too big of a deal out of something that's on social media, or potentially maybe there's just too much of a use of social media in your life, and it's like really taking away from other aspects of your life. So it's going to resonate differently for all of you. But on July 10th, Jupiter is going to start to move forward again. Thank goodness. Jupiter has been retrograding since March 8th, and for you, Gemini, this one has to do with potentially maybe there's some delays regarding anything that has to do with your work life, or maybe there's some delays regarding maybe somehow felt a little bit stuck when it comes to your fitness or your health. But, now that Jupiter is moving forward again on July 10th and following July 10th, I feel like, some of you really could pick up some steam in a positive way when it comes to what you're doing in your job, when it comes to what you're doing in your work. Others of you, this is going to benefit you health-wise. maybe if you saw some sort of delay or complication with your health since Jupiter's been retrograding since March 8th. Well, now it's moving forward again, starting on July 10th. So, following July 10th, maybe you could really make some positive progress with your health and your nutrition. And, it's all up to you, Gemini, because Jupiter rewards effort. So if you're not making the effort, it's not going to happen. So, make the effort to improve your health. Try to get some more exercise if you can. On July 12th, there's a new moon partial solar eclipse. This one has to do with your money. So This is pretty important. It has to do with either your money, or if not your money directly, then it might have to do with the area where you earn your income, and there's something new coming down the pike. And this is more substantial than your regular solar, or excuse me, this is more substantial than your regular new moon. So, typically the way a new moon works is the 6 months that follow the new moon. Yeah, you're going to start seeing some new stuff that's going to be coming into your life in the 6 months that follow the date of the new moon. But this time it's a new moon partial solar eclipse. So it says something more substantial. There's really something that's standing out with this new moon compared to the rest of them. It is an eclipse. It does say something important about the direction of your life path and your fate. And it might have something to do with your money or the area of where you earn your income. I'm not saying, all Geminis are going to jump ship and start doing something completely new for the way they earn their money. But, for some of you, maybe that is a good option for you. Now, for others of you who are for sure that you're sticking it out with what you're doing, with the way you make your money now, well, you're just going to see a lot of new developments. I mean, these are going to be significant new developments that are coming down the pike regarding the area of where you earn your money. And this is 6 months or 6 to 12 months, because it's an eclipse that follows July 12th. On July 16th, Venus will aspect Mars, which is retrograding. And, some of you can benefit from maybe you're going to make some adjustments in your home life so that you can have some more freedom in your life. I mean, where Mars is retrograding, I mean, you are Gemini, you do like your freedom. So, if you feel sort of stifled by your home life or your family situation, then, July 16th is the chance to just sit there for a second and just be like, what can I do to just have more freedom from my home life? It's like, if you feel sort of stuck with a stagnant home life or domestic situation, that you really need to make, some kind of adjustments in your life to change that. And also on July 16th, I mean, this is pretty specific, but for some of you, this might have to do with faraway places or somehow factoring right around this time into your life, or potentially has to do with a foreign culture, or some of you might be getting into spirituality like never before. I'm going to talk more about that at the end of this forecast, because there's going to be a full moon total lunar eclipse at the end of the forecast. It has a lot to do with spirituality in your life. On July 20th, Saturn retrograde is going to be aspecting Neptune, which is retrograding. And, this one has to do with positive things happening with your career and with your shared resource situation. Now, this is this aspect is better for planning. So, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years regarding what you want to do career-wise? Where do you see yourself 5 and 10 years in regard to who you share your resources with? Whoever you share your resources with now, do you really see yourself with that same person in 5 to 10 years? Be honest with yourself and be realistic. So, Saturn is reality. Saturn is sometimes the stark reality, and you're a little bit of like, sometimes you just want to keep the peace, or you want to just keep things the way they are so you don't have to ruffle any feathers. Well, guess what, Gemini? I mean, the way you feel is important too. So if you're just like pretending and going along with a situation that you're really not happy with, then, this is the time to start making plans. And Saturn is retrograding and Neptune's retrograding. So, this is a planning stage. Now, if you're happy with what you're doing, or with who you're with and what's happening career-wise, then great. Then make some positive plans to move that forward. On July 22nd, Venus positively aspecting Jupiter. So this one is good for working from home. So not all of you have the luxury of working from home. Some of you do. If you do take advantage of working from home, or potentially even some of them, very specifically, some of you might have like a home business of some sort. So maybe you own it or the family owns it, but it could be a positive day for that type of situation. Now, for others of you who aren't resonating with what I just mentioned, July 22nd is just one of those days where it's going to be, things are going to be running smoothly at home, and things are going to be running smoothly in your job, and your daily process is going to be running smoothly, and you're going to go to work and everything's going to go. It's going to go pretty well, and then you could come get out of work and maybe try to get some fitness in before you go home. You still have enough time to spend the time with your family when you get home. On July 26th, Mercury is going to start to retrograde. Your ruler Mercury starting to retrograde on July 26th. And it's going to start to retrograde in your sector of communication, Gemini, and This is like what I said back in the beginning of the forecast. You are a great communicator, but at the same time, it's like, sometimes the communication, it's just not getting through to others the way you really need it to, or, they're not receiving it like the way you want them to. And it might just potentially be the way you're communicating. So, Mercury's going to be retrograding from July 26th to August 19th. So, see where you can make some revisions, are for retrograde, are for revisions in your communication, that will make you more of an effective communicator, that will make people more willing to listen or hear you out. Or, potentially it's just like, you are a social butterfly, but if you're missing some of the social graces or social cues about communication, then, this is the time to take those into account. On July 27th, full moon, total lunar eclipse. This one has to do with spirituality in your life mainly. So, some of you are becoming highly spiritual people. And with Uranus going into this sector, there's also Uranus is moving to a different part of the sky, which is also has to do with spirituality. It already just got there recently, but the combination of this influence, this full moon, total eclipse, total lunar eclipse, and then Uranus's recent shift. So the different areas of the sky that have to do with spirituality. But this is a highly spiritual time for you, Gemini. Some of you seeing developments regarding faraway places and foreign cultures. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, share, and like. I'm on Instagram, Gregory Furlan Official. Thank you very much. Have a great month, and I'll see you next time.